The California killers following so closely after the attacks in Paris, putting terrorism at the forefront of the race for 2016. You've got national security and gun control, radical Islam now central campaign points for each candidate.
Our enemies are at war with us. And I believe this nation needs a wartime president to defend it.
Chris Wallace, anchor of Fox News Sunday here on the Fox News channel. Chris, good to see you on this Friday, and good day to you.
Thank you, Bill.
Size up this field. Who best addresses this issue now?
On the Republican side, it's very interesting, and I certainly agree that in the wake of Paris, you could just feel that the emphasis and what voters were looking for changed, and that it was less on domestic issues like the economy and education and health care, not to say that those aren't still important issues, but more about terror and keeping the country safe from our enemies, both foreign and domestic, and in effect picking a commander-in-chief. You can see in the polls who it's helped. It certainly has helped Donald Trump. Doesn't have a lot of foreign policy experience, but he's a tough guy. He talks tough. And to Trump's supporters, they see him as the guy that can protect the country. You also see some of the senators with more foreign policy experience, like Ted Cruz, like Marco Rubio, rising in the polls. On the other hand, Ben Carson, so admired, and just a couple of weeks ago, one of the co-frontrunners with Trump in national polls, has definitely slid in the polls, and I think it's because of people concerned with his soft-spoken manner and his lack of foreign policy experience. Does he fit the role of commander-in-chief?
Yeah, CNN came out with a new poll this morning, showed Trump with a commanding lead at 36%. Then they asked who best handles ISIS, and this is what they found, Chris. Trump's at 46%. He more than doubles, if not triples, the rest of the field. And the other day, Trump was on the trail, and he said this on screen: whenever there's a tragedy, everything goes up. My numbers go way up because we have no strength in this country. We have weak, sad politicians, making the argument that people support him and his numbers go higher because they see him as a strong leader.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I were Trump, I would have talked about the political advantage of this, but what he's saying is true, and there's no question, and that's new latest poll where he's at 36%, and as you say, on the specific question of terror at 45%, shows just that. You know, there are a lot of people who are troubled by things he says about, targeting Muslims. Just recently, he talked about, I think this week, about the fact that we should not only go after terrorists, we should take out their families. But in a country where people are frightened and concerned and worry, just as Trump says, that the politicians, that our leaders are not protecting us, that kind of talk has a real appeal. Yeah. No question about it.
Two more points on this. Here is Carly Fiorina positioning herself as tough on this issue. Watch.
Republicans do not have the votes to block it.
I have never seen a major political party simply occupy placeholders, as the Republican Party is doing.
Carly Fiorina, a conservative outsider who has a bold new blueprint to take our country back.
So what is her strongest argument, Chris?
Well, I have to say, I'm going to play film critic here because I saw that ad. I knew you were going to bring it up. I think it's a lousy ad. I don't understand it because, as you point out, there's this new focus on terrorism. That in 30 seconds is just a recitation. She has a blueprint to take America back. That was kind of the pre-Paris point. I'm an outsider. These guys have all been in. But, she's not particularly offering there. That's her argument. I'm an outsider. Political experience is not a plus. It's a minus. But she isn't making a particular argument about how she is fit to fight the war on terror, especially, and that's really what people are focusing on.
Quickly,
right now.
I want to. Governor Kasich was on with us last hour, and he was hitting on Trump again. We asked him about it. Here's what he said about leadership.
I think people do want strong leadership, and I think, at the same time, however, at the end, they're going to want somebody who knows how to land the plane. They can say all they want about who the pilot is, but once it's in the air and once it has to be landed, I believe, Bill, they'll pick somebody who's had an experience in landing the airplane and providing that leadership, not just talking about it.
We were talking, the two of us, during the commercial break. He has used that line for several months now. When you match that, Chris, with the reports out of Washington, Republican establishment panicking that Trump could be the nominee, is there truth to that?
Oh, sure. And look, what they're mostly, I mean, they're concerned about a couple of things. First of all, they're concerned that Trump will, and again, this is the establishment. These are the very people that Trump says have been part of the problem, not the solution. But what they're very concerned about is that Trump will lead the country to an electoral wipeout, that he'll get slaughtered, that all of the comments he's made about minorities and about women are going to come back to haunt him. But more importantly, from the point of view of the Republican establishment, not just that he'll lose, but he'll also bring down the party, that they'll lose control of the Senate, that they'll lose lots of seats in the House, that they'll lose a lot of seats in state legislatures and governors. And there's nothing that focuses the mind of Republican or any politician than their own self-preservation.
Clear on that. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you Sunday. Chris has an exclusive interview with Dr. Ben Carson. Many issues on the table for Dr. Carson. Chris Wallace's great panel. Check it out Sunday. Check your local listings for times. Thank you, Chris. Breaking news.